Good morning, everyone. It is your girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration here. So I'm not going to be here for long, but you know, definitely have been having a lot of reflection and conversations with individuals that are looking to figure out what's the next step in their lives, right? In their career paths. Good morning, Tommy. And I just really want y'all to understand something. Like, you got to take ownership of your professional development, right? You have to start investing in your professional development. I often hear people say to me, well, I'm not paying for that unless my job pays for it, right? Because a lot of times that's one of the selling points. We'll pay for professional development courses. We will pay for your degree. Like they're going to always try to sell you on it. But then when you actually get into the nitty gritty of that company or that position, you start to realize they're not always willing to pay for what you need. And sometimes I think we don't realize why that is. Now, if your company is not utilizing the most recent, industry, technology, software, whatever it might be, there might be a reason why they're not going to want to pay for you to go and learn something new, right? Because one, they're not even willing to invest in that software and technology. So to them, it's like it's a waste because it's like, well, that technology is going to cost $5,000, $10,000. Sometimes forget about 10,000. Sometimes it could cost $1 million. But then that also makes you marketable so that you can now position yourself to leave and go to the next company that is utilizing this software. So when I realized this, I'm gonna tell you a true story. 2019, I became an instructional designer, right? I never was an instructional designer a day in my life. I was a college professor, and I also, I always taught online. So when you teach online, a little bit about designing courses, but I never really heard. Good morning. I never really heard of the top of the title instructional designer. So here I was, you know, doing the job, and I'm doing it to the best of my ability because I'm just kind of like learning on the go. But what I had to realize was I was not enjoying it. I felt like I was just like really lost. And so maybe about 6 months into the position, I started to look. I'm like, look, God, I don't think this is for me. I like training. I like to work with the people. I like to teach the people. I don't really want to sit behind a computer and just copy and paste, right? Because that's what I was doing. So God said to me, don't leave, right? And don't leave this particular field. Research. So when I started to research and I started to like look at what does an instructional designer do somewhere else, that's when I started to realize that wait, I wasn't really an instructional designer. Can you imagine that you're being paid to do something and in essence, as far as title wise, you're not really doing what you're titled to do? So because that happened, I started to look at just job postings. Just that's all I was doing. Going onto Indeed, going onto LinkedIn, and I'm just looking at job postings for instructional designers, learning designers, and I'm seeing what is the common thread. So I noticed that I needed to know certain LMS platforms, right? So those are learning management systems. Those are what we, if you ever taken an online class, Blackboard, Canvas, right? The place where people sit and take the online class. Then I also realized there was other softwares that people were using. So we call those authoring tools. So I was like, well, these are not things that I was using in my particular role. So when I realized that it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying being an instructional designer, I was very limited as to what I was supposed to be doing as an instructional designer in that particular role. So instead of going, I didn't know. I had a conversation. I was like, hey, how come we're not using this? How come we're not using that? How come we're not using? First of all, I started to raise antennas because it was like, wait, what is she doing? Like, why does she know about these things? Because we were not using it at all. So you know what I did? Even before the pandemic, I started to go online and find out like how much do these softwares cost. Now, a lot of these softwares, they are very expensive, like talking about six figures, some of them seven figures. So I understood why they were not investing in it. But I said, okay, this place is not investing in this software. But there were other companies that were investing in this particular software. So what I had to do was make a choice. I could either sit and continue to use nothing, okay? And again, that's just, you can be an instructional designer and not really use any of the cutting edge technology, or you can now decide if this is, what can I do? So a lot of the software, they give you trial periods, okay? And I say trial, like most time we hear, oh, we get a free trial is 14 days. No, I'm talking about they were giving 60 days. When the pandemic happened, they were giving up to 90 days for free. So you got free access to this entire software. And so because I am a natural, I just like to learn. So I'm like, you know what, God, I'm gonna sit here. Hey, Bola, I was just about to talk about you. I remember talking to one of my friends, and I remember saying to her, like, I'm gonna go back to school. Because that's the way that we're trained. Like, if you don't know something, go back to school and you can learn it. But what motivated me was like speaking to my friend, Dr. Bola. I was like, I don't have to go back to school to get another degree. I can just now go and learn the software because they were giving free trials. So when I downloaded and I started to play with it, I started to realize, like, oh, this is pretty easy. So now I became familiar with the software that other companies were using. Other places that were looking for the same type of people as me with the same level of experience. But I didn't have that because that's not what was utilized. So I started to invest in my professional development. I took ownership of that. I took it away from the hands of the organization that I was working for at the time because I understood they were not going to pay for that. They were not going to invest in it because, like I said before, when you make investments like that a company is not willing to make for the company overall, that means that they're just preparing you for your next role. And no one's going to do that. Like, they're not going to do that. All right. So like I said, a lot of the softwares that I use. So I will be doing workshops going over different e-learning software because I want people to realize there's many avenues that we can go in this. But what I want you to do is go online, look at these job postings, look to see what it is that other companies are looking for, right? Start putting together a list. It could be a list of software, it could be a list of, skills, and start seeing, how can I invest in this? How can I actually make an investment? Make a plan for yourself. Put together a budget, put together a budget of not just finances, but also a budget of time, and start to outline, what can I do in order for me to enhance and prepare myself for the next role in my life, in my career rather. Stop putting that in the hands of organizations. It's not fair to you because you're going to continue to, you're going to stay not up to date as you're definitely progressing into the job market. The job market is changing drastically. And that's the one thing I always see is that there are individuals that have a lot of experience, great work experience, but they don't have what companies are looking for in 2022. And if you're continuously waiting for where you currently are to make that investment for you, it's going to be 10 times harder for you to move forward into the next position. That's just all that I want us to do. Take that ownership back. Make that investment for yourself. So, like I said, figure out what kind of budget do you have. Not just budget with finances, but also with time. Because, like I said, a lot of these softwares that you might be, again, and I'm talking about for all backgrounds, human resources, healthcare, right? A lot of people who are in other states, let me give y'all a little hint. If you are in healthcare and if you're not using Epic right now, you need to figure out how to get access to Epic and to become familiar with Epic. Because I guarantee you, right now in the Northeast, that is like the number one software that they're using in healthcare. But I know someone that moved down to Florida, and they're not using it yet. But she already has the skills because she came from New York to Florida. So this is something that I just want y'all, and every software has like a demo version, a free version online. All you have to do is go ahead, download it, play with it, right? Become familiar with it. Learn the keywords, the terminologies, right? Sometimes that's all that you need to know is know how to speak it, know that, see what it looks like and become familiar with it. And then when you get your foot in the door, they're going to train you anyway. They have to train you because they people needs to be certified to use this. But again, you got to get ahead of the game. You can't keep waiting. Well, I'm waiting for my job to pay for this. No, make that investment for yourself. Make that investment for you. Because if you want the $15,000 raise when you go to your next job, if you want, that promotion, you just want to get your foot in a new industry, then you have to make these type of investments in yourself. So invest the time, invest the money if you have to. Again, YouTube University, they have a lot. That's just how I learned 2 of the softwares. And I became familiar with those softwares. And then when I got a contract, free range. Now I'm learning, I'm all up in it and I'm digging and I'm like, okay, and I can do this and I can do that. And now I'm starting to piece together. And so now I went from being, when I started, I was just a beginner. And then I quickly became, I won't say I'm a professional because it's still a lot. Good morning. It's still a lot that I don't know. But I was able to get into that door because I made that investment in time. I mean, they gave me 60 days to learn this software. I had 60 days free, full version of the software for 60 days. And I sat and I budget 3 hours a week, just 3 hours, just to learn how the key features. Because when you're reading these job descriptions, they're going to say, you need to know how to do this, need to know how to do that, need to know how to do this. Okay, so now go to the software. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to do that. I need to know how to do this. And then the third thing that I would say is start to build a portfolio. Okay, so when you're building this portfolio, you're really able to, display and show them like, hey, this is what I have, right? Because you're building a portfolio not off of someone else's work, right? I can't show you what I did at the last company, but I can make a duplicate. I can show you similar work that I have done because I have spent time in building my portfolio. Guys, I just want us to do better, right? I want us to do better. I want you to do better. I want you to take control of your career goals. I want you to be able to really crush this market because this is what you want. But if you're not willing to do that work, it's going to be 10 times harder. If you're constantly waiting, well, I'm waiting for my job to pay for it, they said that they'll get back to me, you're going to be sometimes waiting too long. And I don't want you to continue to stay there. So like I said, I will be doing through purposeful training, I will be doing some workshops and showing you some new software, right? So I'm big on e-learning. When 2020 happened, every company had to realize that they needed to do online trainings. And a lot of people started to realize that just having a PowerPoint presentation was not going to cut it anymore. They also didn't want to just continue to keep doing things live. So now they wanted to do more things self-paced. And if it's self-paced, how does that look? We don't want to just make it click to the next slide, click to the next slide, and then answer some questions. They want things to be interactive. They want things to look fun. They want to use animation. Like adults, look, I've been teaching adults for August would be 12 years this year, 12 years. And one thing I can tell you, adults have a short attention span, worse than children. So they're like, Miss, I need more. Like I teach Microsoft Excel. Like that's like one of the most common courses that I teach. I even had to learn how to make that interactive because my students was like, ma'am, you keep talking about formulas, like you're really excited about this and pivot tables, and I don't care. So can you help me to care about this? And so when I had to do that, I was like, yo, this is what I can do. I can do it this way. But that was because I started to learn the other softwares that I can incorporate in my e-learning. So I want to teach people how to design online courses. The other reason why I want to teach people this is because literally every day I get 5 to 10 jobs between LinkedIn, and just recruiters, right? Because I do a lot of contract work. So a lot of recruiters are always, sending me, hey, Tanisha, hey, Tanisha. And I mean, I'm just to the point where I'm contract out. So I'm like, I can't do any more work. But I can teach you how to do that, because the one thing I do know is that if you have, let's say, 5, 10 years of experience in customer service, that means you need to be working with the human resources, or some companies they call learning and development. You need to now be working with them to start training and training and teaching the new people that are coming in. Like, this is the one thing that I see. People they get frustrated. I'm tired of doing customer service. I'm tired of being in retail. Okay, step back. What else can you do even in that same company? Macy's has a learning and development, Chick-fil-A, all of these places. You don't have to always work in the store. You can now be a part of that training team. Okay. I had a call, I want to say like September, with it was like a bakery. They're really big in the Midwest. That was like one of the reasons why they didn't hire me, because they really wanted somebody. Exactly, right? They wanted somebody in the Midwest. But the one thing I learned from that conversation was this was a bakery, okay? A bakery that they grew over the years. And so they were looking for people that had experience working in a bakery to go in and train the new people, because they were now opening up new stores. And I had said to them, I said, you know what? I said, you might find the best person for this position in one of your bakeries. Like, I legit told them that. Because who knows better? The person that's making the donuts, the person that's brewing the coffee, the person that cleans, the person that orders the supplies, they know better than any outside person who has 15 years of training experience. Yes, I have 15 years of training experience, but that person might have 5, 10 years of experience in the store. So maybe that's where you need to go recruit from, because I'm pretty sure they had to train new employees. So why not build that person? But then I also realized I can't fault them, because a lot of people don't think that way. They're not thinking of, okay, how can I take a next step, a lateral move in this company? And so we always look at where we are. And again, it's no shade, but I want us to start thinking bigger. You have the skills and abilities that these companies need. And there are roles that you can go for that are going to take you to the next level. That's going to open up doors. I mean, there are right now, as an e-learning specialist, and I mean, that's as an instructional designer, as just building the content. You could be the LMS administrator. You could be the actual trainer. These people are getting paid, depending on where you live, as little as $25 an hour, as high as $75 an hour. Okay. And I mean, these are full-time opportunities. I had a company, I turned down a position because it just didn't make sense. And if you ever know me, you know I don't do things that don't make sense. So they wanted, it's a really big agency in New York City. I won't name the agency, but they wanted me to come and they wanted me to do trainings, right? Just as a trainer. I wasn't developing anything. I'm just doing trainings. They were willing to pay me. They started at $50 an hour. Okay. So I was entertaining it until I read, and then I had to confirm it. They said, these are only going to be virtual trainings. I said, oh, that's perfect. They said, but you have to come into the building to do the virtual trainings. I'm gonna just drink my coffee. I'm gonna let that resonate for a minute. Now we're in the time of COVID. New York City, we're always the hub, so we always got a spike in numbers. And I said, why would you want me to come into the building to only do virtual trainings? And they was like, they had no answer. They just wanted that. And we're going to talk about that another day, because that right there, I'm telling you, the culture has definitely changed. And that was the one time that I actually said, I can't do that. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm still going to spend 45 minutes to an hour in traffic, park my car to go sit in an office and tell your daughter, exactly, who got time for that? Right? I was like, I can't do that. So they actually went as high as $75 an hour. Like they was trying, and I was like, I can't, right? Because I have values. There's things that I believe in, and there's just things that I'm always going to just say no to. And like I said, if it doesn't make sense, Tanisha's not doing it. So I just want you to think about that. Think about what could you teach, right? And it doesn't have to be like I've worked in higher education, doing e-learning, um, tech companies, startup tech companies, and mostly, those are like the two industries. But human resources is in every company, right? And now more human resource companies, there's two divisions that I'm seeing that they're actually adding a lot to, diversity and inclusion. Diversity is definitely being, and equity is being added because of what, of course we need that. But then it also, a lot of companies are adding learning and development. So learning development is going under human resources. Some companies is under education and technology, under IT. It really just depends. You have to really just do the research. But I see them in every industry. And I mean, literally, I have recruiters contacting me every single day. Healthcare needs people. Like I said, startup companies, technology, higher education, they need people. But the people don't have the skills. So if you don't have the skills, then of course you're going to be able to, like, I can't do that job. But I'm guaranteeing you, if you take the time and invest and you start to learn these things, you'll be able to step outside of your comfort zone. You'll be able to step outside of the box and start seeing, like, hey, well, how can I navigate this? How can I break into this? Right. And I just want us to just do better. Do better, do better, and do better. Take control of your destiny. Take control of your career path. Stop waiting for someone else to hand it to you or to give it to you. And honestly, I'm gonna say this, and this is probably, if anyone that knows me personally, they have been very surprised lately in me saying this more. But going to get another degree is not always the answer either. So many times we're running to go get another degree. That's not the answer. Because all you're really doing is buying yourself some more time, a couple of more years, when you can just go and maybe a certificate, or again, you can just find a course, take that course, learn the software, invest in that time, build your portfolio, and then you can move forward. Degrees are taking between 1 year to 2 years, and depending if you're going part-time, it could take 3 years. So I'm even going to say to you, as a multiple degree holder, if I would have known this in my 20s, I probably would have stopped at just my master's. Okay. And that's only because having my master's opened up the doors for me to teach. All right. To get into the college, because you need a master's. A lot of people don't know that. So I just want to encourage you to, just start making that investment, but make a wise investment. And everything doesn't have to result in saying, I'm gonna just go sign up and go get another degree, right? We don't need any more student loan debt, especially if companies are not paying for it. But even be careful with that, because they can pay for it, but you're going to owe them time. And a lot of companies are now, they're making that time longer. Before, most companies would say, give us back 2 or 3 years. Now they're saying, give us back 5 years. And that is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, because y'all don't know how. All right. So I just wanted to just really come on and just tell you guys this, share this insight, and just give you a little bit, something for you to think about. What can you learn? What can you start to invest in? And if you are interested, I will start posting the information. I'm finalizing the date um, of the workshops. I'm probably going to do one that will be a weekday, and then one that will be a weekend. And just dive in and teach you these softwares. I'm not saying this is a market. Instructional designing, e-learning as a whole is a market that is in high demand, and they don't have as many candidates. They don't. So if this is something that you are interested in, definitely hit me up, send me a DM, so that once I have that offer finalized and the dates finalized, you'll be able to just go in, see what it is, see if this is something that you're interested in. I did do a live yesterday. So for anyone on Instagram, you're gonna have to go to Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'm gonna post that in my stories, and it will be saved in my highlights, so you'll be able to always access that link. But I did a live a couple of weeks ago, and I just did a replay of it last night, and I'm gonna go live every day this week talking about it because I just want to give people the knowledge, the information, the insight. We're gonna talk about again. I'm gonna go deeper into the salaries. I'm gonna go deeper into the different types of positions that you can go and how you can kind of navigate, that new career field if it's something that you're interested in. This is not for everyone, right? If you don't know anything about computers, this is not going to be for you. And I'm not being funny, and I'm not discriminating, but you do have to have at least a basic understanding of computers in order for you to be successful in that career field. All right, so that is something. Now, if you want to learn computers, then we also can have that conversation because I will be going back to doing my Microsoft Office courses. Like right now, everything is virtual, but it will be instructor led. So it's not just self paced. I'm not just giving you a YouTube video. No, there actually will be an instructor, maybe myself, maybe someone else that will actually go through and show you. So Excel, PowerPoint, Word. I'm even thinking about Outlook because Outlook is becoming utilized even more again. Companies are either a Microsoft company or a Google company. And so yeah, people need to learn how to use Outlook. And then there also a certification, but that's information that we can go deeper in on another day, another time. But investing in yourself, start finding out what is it that your industry, your career field is using that your company is not using, and start making that investment. Okay. I am Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Have a great Tuesday. Have a great day. Share, tag, let someone know because someone might need this message to help them as they're planning for the next phase of their career. All right. Have a good one. I love you guys.